Lawmakers continue to work to reach a deal on immigration reform. On Tuesday, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer objected to an amendment that would crack down on so-called sanctuary cities. Democrats are demanding any immigration solution include protections for nearly 700,000 immigrants who were brought to the U.S. illegally as children. 3 hikers who had been stranded on Oregon's Mount Hood have been rescued. A 4th climber who fell between 700 and 1,000 feet was pronounced dead after arriving at an area hospital. Despite earlier reports of more stranded hikers, rescuers say they do not believe anyone else on the mountain needs their assistance. 31-year-old Shaun White needed and delivered a near-perfect final run to pull off his 3rd gold medal in the Olympic men's halfpipe. His win marks the 100th overall gold ever by the United States in the Winter Games. Organizers at the Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang, South Korea spent years building venues and getting everything just right for the Games. But there's one thing they can't control: Mother Nature. CBS's Dana Jacobson reports from Pyeongchang.
Ferocious winds are causing problems for athletes during the first week of the Winter Games. Gusts up to 45 miles per hour have disrupted or postponed numerous events, including the women's slalom, which has now been pushed back twice. British snowboarder Amy Fuller had a tough time during her slopestyle runs this week.
As I was in the air, this gust just took me and swept me under my feet, and I'm happy to be in one piece. I had a pretty heavy slam on that last run.
Fuller says she feared for her safety, and other athletes expressed the same concerns. Not a single snowboarder completed 2 error-free runs.
No athlete is naturally forced to go down and compete. That's the first thing I want to make clear.
Alpine skiing began Tuesday after 2 days of postponements. In the men's combined event, downhill skiers started lower down the course to avoid some of the fiercest winds.
We're at 1,100 meters right now, or 3,800 feet, to try to give you some sense of what the athletes are feeling on the mountain. Now, the area is under a Siberian high-pressure system, and that swoops in this cold, dry air, and that creates the game-changing winds and wind chills that we're seeing.
Even with numerous postponements already, organizers see no reason to hold events when the weather is questionable.
If the wind continues to blow for the next 15 days, then I guess it might be a problem, but at present, everything is okay.
Forecasters are hoping for milder conditions this weekend, but caution the winds can whip up almost any time. Dana Jacobson, CBS News, Pyeongchang, South Korea.
On to Winter Watch. Billings police suspect exposure may be what killed a man who was found dead inside a sleeping bag near a West End business. Police were called to a business complex in the 500 block of South 24th Street West just after 1:15 Tuesday afternoon. Once on scene, officers found a man who appeared to be in his 50s lying in the bushes. Police believe the man was likely camping there. Wind chill temperatures were hovering in the -17-degree range Monday night into Tuesday morning. Police Sergeant Harley Cagle says the investigation into the man's death is ongoing. In state news, cities and counties across Montana will soon see additional road maintenance money thanks to a 2017 increase in the state fuel tax. State transportation officials say the fuel tax increase raised about $6 million, and local governments can apply to use that money starting March 1st. Those funds are in addition to the $17 million already allocated for local governments' roads and street maintenance. Billings will receive the biggest chunk of funds with $655,000, while the small town of Rexford in northwestern Montana gets the least at $1,100. Flathead County will receive $180,000, which is the most of any county. The state tax on gasoline increased 4.5 cents a gallon last year and 1.5 cents per gallon on diesel fuel. Going on special assignment, technology is prevalent now more than ever. It's accessible by just about anyone, and it's landing in the tiny hands of toddlers in the form of screen time. Even though they seem to catch on fast, I wanted to find out if having a tech-savvy toddler is a good thing.
with the most brilliant color ever.
Since the introduction of television, parents have been regulating screen time.
They're so real you'll think you're there.
Around the 90s, the popularity of home computers grew, and now there's tablets and smartphones.
Here we go.
That's where Generation Alpha comes in, known as the generation born with an iPad in its hand.
Things like painting and coloring and cutting and dancing and singing and listening to music and climbing and throwing balls and kicking balls. That's the stuff that kids need to be doing.
Dr. Natalie Bowman is an associate professor of educational theory and practice at MSUB. She sees parents using smart devices in ways that aren't exactly beneficial to toddlers.
If we get into the realm of just using it to occupy our time or to entertain, you know, especially with kids, that's not the best use of their time.
The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends babies and toddlers 18 months and younger stay away from screen time. And for toddlers 2 and older, they should just be limited to 1 hour a day. But the reality is, parents sometimes rely on screen time as a distraction as they juggle housework and other daily responsibilities.
A survey conducted by parenting website babycenter.com revealed 2 in 3 babies and 4 in 5 toddlers have some form of screen time. Overall, as many as 1 in 5 watch more than 3 hours a day. Pediatricians are seeing some damaging effects on vision, sleep, weight, fine motor skill development, and mental health.
Especially if screens are used as the only form of comfort. They might not be able to learn how to emotionally self-regulate or cope on their own.
With the advancement of technology, parents might be putting too much faith into screen time.
We like to think that we have these apps that can teach these skills to kids. And so if we're handing them this device and they're learning their colors or something like that, then this is a good thing. The reality is that if we're interacting with colors and talking about them, they're also going to learn their colors. And that's probably a better way to do it.
Screen time could be a good thing if it's used in the right way.
How do we use this as a tool, again, to help us to be creative, to make connections, to learn information? And used in that way, they're really a good thing. Used just for entertainment or to occupy, probably not.
High quality programming is another option.
So not overly distracting from the real world, something that would encourage what they call dual participation, where a parent or an older sibling could engage with the app and the child and their surrounding environment.
When it comes to the growing mind of a toddler, back to basics is best.
And I think that we have to remember that even though technology has its place, both in our classrooms and in our world, it can never replace good, high-quality interactions between teachers and children or parents and children.
And Dr. Notario also suggested finding apps that allow parents to set a hard stop, which turns the app off after a selected amount of time, so the child learns that screen time is not an ongoing experience.